Oxford LowKick MMA Zac Pauga, who returns to action June 17th. Zach, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Of course. Always honored to speak with you, man. About a week out. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling really good. Excited to keep this thing rolling, get a streak going here in the UFC.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Before we get to your upcoming fight, I want to go back to your fight, to your win against Jordan Wright. Obviously, it wasn't the most exciting fight, but it was a win. It was a dominant win. It was like you said, you needed a win. You needed a win. I just wanted to know how do you feel about that performance?
Honestly, not great, but it was what I needed to do. Jordan was a wild, crazy fighter, and as much as I would like to just go in there and throw caution to the wind and meet his wildness, that's not who I am. I'm here for wins. I'm here for W's, and I'm gonna build up. I'm building up that fight piece of it, making it exciting, getting into more of a fight. But I'm always gonna take the win, and that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. Was it any part of the game plan just to go in there and like flatline the guy, or was it always kind of be composed and get that win?
It was always to control him and not get like why give him his best chance, which is us just trading. And then there's a point in the third round, I drop him in the third round, and then I say, okay, I'm coming in, and he tags me right in the face, swells my eye up, and I was just like, no, we're gonna push you back against the cage. We're gonna collect this win, and we'll get better for next time. Um, so yeah, there's two parts of fighting, right? It's a sport, but it's also entertainment. Like you have to know when to fight and you have to know when to compete. And as a lifelong athlete, I know how to compete. I know how to win fights. I'm working on that piece of entertaining and fighting during the fight.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. Yeah, I did want to ask just how relieving was it to get that win, man? You were coming off a knockout loss. It was a big loss in your career. So just like how how relieving, like was it to get that win? And was there any pressure going into the fight?
Yeah, man, there was a ton of pressure. There's more pressure than I've probably ever felt going into a fight. I'm coming off my first loss, and it wasn't just a loss a decision. The last time I was in that octagon, my lights went out. I didn't even know I lost until someone told me in the ambulance, 20 minutes later. So there was a lot of pressure and just, the culmination of everything. I quit a good job to do this sport and to chase my dreams. So I there was no way that I was going to go in there and get knocked out again. So there was a lot of pressure riding on that fight.
Now that it's been some time, how was the weight cut getting back down to light heavyweight? Obviously, you fought light heavyweight a bunch of times, but it was the first time in like a year dropping down.
Yeah, so this one has been much better, much smoother. I was about 235 when we accepted this fight. I was about 250 when we accepted the fight for Jordan. So it's it's my this is my home. This is where I'm going to fight. This is where I'm going to make a run. This is where I plan on winning the belt. Um, but it is fun to take some heavyweight fights every once in a while. But 205 is my home. I can make it easily and comfortably.
Awesome, awesome. All right, let's talk about it. Modestas Bukauskas. Did you know who he was before the fight was offered to you?
I did know who he was. Obviously, I try and keep an eye on all the light heavyweights. So I'd watch when Khalil hurt him 2 years ago or whatever. I saw that fight, watch it live, and then I watch all the other Polynesian fighters too. So I watched his fight live against Tyson Pedro. So I was very familiar with him when it came up.
Funny enough, I actually talked with him today, and he said that he's been watching you for a long time because you fought in Cage Warriors, so he thought maybe you guys would fight in Cage Warriors, but now you guys are fighting in the top promotion in the world. Um, so I guess what are your thoughts on the matchup?
It's a great matchup. He is like by far the best person I've fought to this point. and a fighter I respect. I respect a dude who got cut from the UFC and worked his way back in. So, I respect what he's about. I respect his skills, and I'm looking forward to testing myself and really pushing myself against the best fighter I fought.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about, that respect, man. Like that dude suffered a horrific knee injury, right? And then he gets cut from the UFC, has to fight his way back to the UFC, fought for a title, won the title in Cage Warriors, and then got back in the UFC, beats Tyson Pedro, who was on a roll at the time, right? So just talk about just having that respect for him.
Yeah, so it makes him dangerous. He knows what the other side is like. Some of these young guys who have never done anything but been a pro athlete or never done anything but fight, they don't understand what the other side is like, and maybe they're willing to slack or slide a little bit. I know a guy who's been cut and worked his way back in. I know that he's not going to give up. He's not going to take the easy way out in the cage, and I love that. That's what I want. I'm a guy that's been on the other side as well.
Mm. On paper, it's a very fascinating fight. Both of you guys come forward, and like, what? I mean, obviously not giving away the game plan, but like, is it? Are you going in there to control this guy and make it a dirty, gritty fight?
So that's always going to be part of my game plan. Like I said, am working on adding a little bit more excitement. I want to get finishes in there, but it would be silly of me to just disregard my natural talents, my natural abilities to hold guys down and to hold them against the cage. So I am planning on getting my forehead under his chin and just pushing it a little bit further than I did with Jordan. Actually getting him down some ground and pound or some subs.
Do you think you'll be able to get this guy down?
We're gonna try. We're gonna try. We're gonna find out. He's I think Tyson got him down in the first round, and I do believe that my grappling's better than Tyson. So we're gonna see.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. As of right now, you guys are kicking off the card. I guess, do you take any I guess pride? I don't know, like obviously you like to be like the main event or like main card, like your pride, right? But like taking off the card is what gets the card going, right? So are you like what's your thoughts on that?
Well, so from my perspective, like I'm realistic. I'm being realistic. My last fight was I was the co-main event of the card. And then to go to be bumped all the way down to the first fight, I understand that the people in control, the powers that be, probably didn't love that last performance, and I'm real with that, and I understand that, and I have to improve on it. That's on me. I have to go out there and give a fight that people are going to want to tune in and watch, and that is the big thing that I'm working on in my game. This whole camp is doing damage and getting finishes. I know I can control any light heavyweight in the world. I can hold them down, but I'm trying to do more than that.
Like you said, you were the co-main event, your last one out. Were you surprised that they bumped you all the way down?
It was like I expected something. I was hoping maybe a featured prelim or something, but like I said, I'm realistic about this. I understand that performance that they gave me an opportunity. They put me in a slot to shine, and I didn't take advantage of it. So this is just what I have to deal with. And now I'm going to go out and put on a good show now, and they're going to say, "What? We don't know what to do with this guy."
Um, who are some of your main partners this camp? Same crew? Did you bring anybody in to mimic Modestas?
So we had a much different crew this time around. So I still had Devin Clark, and then trained a lot with Ty Flores, who's fighting in the PFL tonight. He was my main training partner since we're both in camp for basically the same dates. And then we had Alonzo Minifield and Philip Haas come through camp, just testing out the team elevation. So it was great to get those other bodies involved.
Nice. Do you think more and more fighters are going to come join your squad? Because man, it's especially like for light heavyweights and heavyweight fighters, man. Like your squad is fucking elite.
Yeah, I think we're already seeing it. We are seeing it. Just random dudes are just sliding in and popping in and wanting to come check it out. So word is getting out, at least for big bodies, because there's any gym in the world has maybe two heavyweights. If you walk into a gym, you're lucky if there's another heavyweight for you to spar. So word is getting out that the best heavyweight, light heavyweight gym on the planet is Team Elevation. And so I am there's been a ton. We've had a ton of random big names just stroll through, and I'm sure that's going to keep happening.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. I go to a Cinque tour almost weekly, and they have a lot of middleweights. They got a lot of lower guys, but like once you creep up to light heavyweights and the heavyweights, slim pickings.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Awesome, awesome. All right. Well, at the end of the day, June 17th, how do you get your hand raised?
I'm looking for a submission. I'm gonna drag him down, ground and pound, control him, and we're coming to end this fight with a choke.
Awesome, awesome. Three last questions for me, man. Firstly, when the hell is Ben Tynan going to get somebody that'll fight him on a full camp?
That's a good question, man. That's a good. He's in this horrible spot where he is one of the best prospects out there, but no one will fight him. So he can't show how good he is. He can't show his opportunities. And then it's hard taking fights on 4 days notice against anybody. You don't know anything about them. They're just the only guy that would sign the paper and show up. So I'm hoping they can just throw him on Contender. I don't know who controls that. I don't know anything about that, but he's the best heavyweight on the regional scene, undefeated, all finishes. Throw him on Contender. That's my hope.
Yeah, I like how you said that because, like you said, I mean, preparing for somebody on short notice when you don't know nothing about it, like he's been so dominant in his fights, but then his last fight, he gets another short nosed opponent, and then he gets wild, gets tagged a little bit, and then people judge him because he got tagged up, right? So like, what?
Yeah. No, exactly. Like, yeah, people want to, talk about that, and it's like he knew nothing about that guy. You were just walking in, and it's literally that was more or less a street fight that he got paid for, and he won. He finished the guy.
How is that guy in the gym?
So he's a beast. He's a beast wrestler. Like you're talking about pure grappling. He's the best. He is the best. He's still working on his MMA game, but I would rather grapple. I would rather grapple Curtis than Vanilla.
Damn, that's damn, that is high praise. I did want to talk about Curtis. Obviously, not the result that you guys were looking for. What were your thoughts about that fight, man? Everyone thought that Curtis was going to go in there with his wrestling shoes and shoot and take this guy down, but he really only shot one time. He got stuffed and then he got knocked out. Like, what were your thoughts on the fight? What were you guys planning on doing? Like, what was the atmosphere after the fight?
After the fight is obviously just break it down and get back to work. Curtis has already got, he's already been back in the gym. He's been back to work. Fighting's hard, man. Shit happens. The plan was to wrestle. The plan was to wrestle. And I'm not in there. I'm not in there. And he starts touching him, who I don't know what he was feeling or seeing. But it's a lot harder than people assume to just say, oh, I'm just gonna go take Sergey Pavlovich down. I'm just gonna go run him over and take him down. That shit's hard. And Curtis was trying to set it up. And I thought he was actually winning the exchanges until he wasn't, right? And that's the danger of heavyweight MMA, man. Heavyweight MMA sucks. That's why I don't want to fight heavyweight. I did it to get in the UFC, but it's horrible. It doesn't even take one with those tiny little gloves with these huge guys with huge reaches, you know. And Curtis is going to get better from that. He's going to get better from that. He's obviously had a bit of an issue with the power punches, and that's something that we have to recognize as a team and go towards fixing.
A lot of people have this perspective that Curtis has fallen too much in love with his hands as his teammate, as someone who's in the trenches with him 24/7. Like, is that true, or is it just kind of like a perception that people have?
I would say it's just the perception because of the way his fights have gone. He's still wrestling dominant and a powerful wrestler, but he's an MMA fighter. Team Elevation, I would say our trademark is we're not a striking gym, we're not a grappling gym, we're a mix it up gym. But Curtis just had a weird run where before Sergey, it was like 6 or 8 months ago, it was Aspinall who got hurt 10 seconds into the fight. And then 4 months before that, it was Dawkins who he knocked out. And it's like, so that's the only thing people have seen from Curtis in the last 18 months. It's like he hasn't fallen in love with his hands. You just haven't gotten to see anything in the last 3 fights.
Um, it's not confirmed, but he's fighting Jailton Almeida next, probably in Brazil. What do you think? Obviously everyone's high on Jailton Almeida right now, but I think people are forgetting just how good Curtis Blade is because we just saw him lose to Sergey, right? So like, is this going to be one of those fights where like you guys forgot just how good he is?
Absolutely. And I mean, this is such a great matchup for Curtis. Like I said, if you don't have a nuclear bomb in your hand, you can't beat Curtis. And if your game plan is to grapple with him, that's insane. And Jalton is good, right? He's good, but he's actually a light heavyweight that's been taking advantage of all these heavyweights that can't grapple. And I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited for Curtis to really get rolling again and show some a dominating top game.
And finally, obviously the Ultimate Fighter is back. I just want to know your first. I don't know if you've watched it, but if you have watched the first couple episodes, what's your opinion on the season so far?
Yeah, I've watched it. Tough alum. I'm always going to support. I'm always going to support. It's it's been good. It's been good. It's interesting to me to see that they're kind of following the same uh like
Formula.
outline that they did with my season, which I don't love that much. But it's the rookies versus the vets thing. I think is crazy. Like that. Like I don't think people truly understand how hard it is to get in the UFC or to have multiple fights in the UFC. Like my teammate that's on the show, Austin Hubbard, dude had 6 fights in the UFC. If you think just some random regional guy is going to beat these vets, it's crazy, and that's why the first 2 fights have been 20-second knockouts. You have UFC legit proven UFC vets against rookies, which maybe they're hoping one guy is the next John Jones, but he probably wouldn't be on tough if he was.
Dude, I mean, and Chandler has all the vets, right? So like
Yeah.
we were talking about, dude, like just having Austin Hubbard, Timur Valiev, and Brad Katona on
Mhm.
your team, like, dude, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like Connor chose the rookies for the first, but it's like, yeah, and I don't even my wife didn't really understand. Like the difference between a UFC fighter and a regional fighter is not the same as a college football player and a professional football player. It's like it's almost the difference of a football player and a high school football, an NFL player and a high school football player. There's no barrier to being on a regional fighter. It's who, just like we're talking about with the vanilla, it's who can show up, who can make weight and show up. And in the UFC, you're talking about the best fighters on planet Earth.
Yeah, no, it's insane to me. I just like that that veteran lineup is just like, dude, like it
Yeah.
obviously Connor like wasn't thinking when he didn't pick when he didn't pick that
Well,
squad.
and they're not, yeah, they're not guys that were one fight and out and got cut. Those are, like I said with Austin, he has like 6 or 7 UFC fights. And yeah,
I mean, and you can, I mean, you can make an argument. A lot of those veterans should still be in the UFC. Like
yeah,
they're still high elite, level of fighter. They just had some bad shit happen and they got cut.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Awesome. Zach, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. If you want to plug your social media, any sponsors you might have, and if you want to thank anybody, the floor is yours.
Yeah. So just Zac Pauga, ZACPAUGA, everywhere on social media. The only sponsor I really need to plug is First Form. I don't push stuff that I don't use. I use their supplements. They're the best. I love them. They've taken care of me since before I was even anybody. So definitely go to my Instagram, click on the link, get yourself some of the best supplements.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.